Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. Had 8 matchups in a Sunday in the NBA. Unfortunately, a lot of blowouts, so don't have as many games as usual to go in depth into, but I finally have a chance to go ahead and talk about a team that I've been dying to talk about. They've been one of the best teams in the league so far, currently on a 7-game win streak after their win last night. They've got a duo of guys that are playing like 2 top 10 players in the world. Both have all NBA first team cases, and it feels like this is only the beginning for them because their top 3 guys haven't even played a minute on the court together quite yet. Before we get into that though, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, and as always, would love to hear your takeaways down below in the comments. As you probably could have guessed, we're going to go ahead and begin things with Knicks versus Suns. This was one of my more anticipated games on the slate. The Knicks were coming into this one winning 4 of their last 5, while meanwhile the Suns had won 6 straight games. Now unfortunately for Phoenix, no Kevin Durant or Bradley Beal in this one. Beal continues to deal with that back injury, and Kevin Durant ends up missing this game, leaving Devin Booker by himself, but the Suns have managed to hold their own a lot this season despite missing 1 or 2 stars, which is part of the beauty of having a number of stars on the team, is the ability of the other guys to go ahead and step up in their absence. The Suns role players have done a good job, so it still felt like Phoenix had a chance in this game, and it came all the way down to the wire. Big shots back and forth, mainly between Jalen Brunson and Devin Booker, and in the end, Devin Booker goes ahead and hits a sidestep, fading away game-winning 3 in Madison Square Garden over a couple defenders to give Phoenix the win. Jalen Brunson had a pretty good look that went in and out at the end to send it to overtime, but he misses, and the Phoenix Suns win their 7th straight game, moving to 11-6 on the season, currently sitting at the 3 seed in the Western Conference after kind of a slow start. The main reason for the success has been the duo of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Like I said in the intro, both playing like top 10 players, both have all NBA first team, even MVP cases if you want to go that far. I'm not really going to argue with you. That's how good they've been. Through this early going, they're both having the best seasons of their individual careers, which is crazy to say for 2 guys who are as good as they are, but they've been that good. Let's start with Devin Booker because he's the one that played in this game. Like I said, Book hits that game-winning 3, huge clutch shot, just unbelievable stuff from him. And then he goes ahead and overall in the game puts up 28 points, 5 boards, and 11 assists. And on the season, he's averaging 29.4 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 8.9 dimes on 50% shooting from the field, and a blistering 43.5% from deep, while playing some pretty good defense. Devin Booker, over the course of his career, has become one of the single most well-rounded stars in the entire league. You put him anywhere on the court, he can go get you a bucket. Single team, double team, he's either going to create an advantage for himself or something for others using his playmaking, which has been phenomenal so far this season. And that's been the biggest thing. We know with Devin Booker, he's going to score the hell out of the ball and do it really efficiently. He's clutch. It's all stuff we've seen before, but coming into the season, the big thing the Suns needed from him was better playmaking than we had ever seen. Because he's had some great assisting seasons in the past, but most of that came in their rebuilding seasons. Book had never been the featured playmaker on a championship contending roster. A lot of that went to Chris Paul over the past few years, and after they traded him, they needed somebody to step up into that role, and Book was named the starting point guard, and it was a question of can he be that lead facilitator while also maintaining his great scoring? The answer is yes, Devin Booker is just that good. Like I said, averaging 8.9 assists per game, and he's doing it with right around 3 turnovers. A 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is really, really good, especially when you're the team's leading scorer most nights. You're doing it incredibly efficiently. They're asking you to defend a lot of great players too, like Book's being asked to do basically everything for this team, and he's doing it at an unbelievable level. Last night against the Knicks was one of the best displays of playmaking that I've really ever seen from Devin Booker. Getting guys in their spots, being patient, seeing what the defense sends at him. Is it a double team? Are they going to wait to send the double until you try to attack? He was reading the defense incredibly well. Devin Booker has just gotten better at manipulating the possessions. He is finding ways to impact the game consistently, whether he's scoring, whether he's playmaking. It doesn't matter. Devin Booker is going to find a way to continuously help his team out. This is the best version we've ever seen of D-Book, and I was hoping this is the version we'd see this season, but he's exceeded all my expectations. He has truly become a top 10 player in this league, and I don't think a lot of people can question that. Then next to him you have Kevin Durant, who, despite being an MVP, a scoring champion, considered by many to be one of the best scorers of all time, some will even tell you the greatest, feels like he's having his best offensive season yet. It's still in the early going, so we'll see how it ends, but so far he's putting up 31.4 points per game, 7.1 boards, 5.5 assists with 1.2 blocks on 53% from the field and 52.2% from deep. and he's taking some of the most contested threes you will ever see. He's just shooting over guys. It doesn't matter who the defender is. Kevin Durant is going to get a bucket over them. He's attacking the rim. It feels like more. I haven't checked the numbers, but just from the eye test, it feels like he's getting more downhill. He's hitting those typical ridiculous mid-range jumpers, playmaking at a high level for his position. Like I said, 5.5 dimes, playing a lot of these games without Devin Booker, without Bradley Beal, so somebody has to be more of a playmaker. It's been Kevin Durant, which is a role he's embraced more and more, it feels like, over the second half of his career. He's been absolutely unbelievable. He's playing some great defense too. Like, when you have these two guys in the lineup, you have two players who are capable of being 50, 40, 90 on any night, dropping 30 on your head while putting up like 5, 6, 7, 8 plus dimes. What do you do against these guys? They're both good defensively. They can shoot over basically anybody, get a bucket from anywhere on the court. How do you stop a duo that can do all this while also being unbelievably clutch? They both had huge moments so far this season. What do you do against the two of them? I don't really have an answer, and a lot of the league doesn't, because when these two guys play, they're 6-1. Both are looking like MVP candidates. When you have these two guys on the court, it's going to be really hard to lose on any given night. And a lot of the league is lucky that they've only played 7 games together so far, because if they can get them both fully healthy for an extended period, this team goes from scary to legitimately terrifying. And that's not even to mention that we haven't seen a single game yet with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. Beal's only played a few times so far this season. I won't lie, I'm a little bit concerned that he's only played a little bit to begin this year, especially because the injury he's dealing with is a back injury, which those are somewhat concerning more than other types of injuries. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that he gets on the court. And if he does, if you get Beal, Booker, Kevin Durant out there as a trio for any consistent period of time, they're going to be really, really hard to beat. But it's not all about the stars in Phoenix, because the supporting cast, which was one of their bigger question marks going into the season, has been pretty good so far. You don't get wins with just one star when the other two guys are out. You need role players to step up in their absence, and they've done exactly that so far this season. Jusuf Nurkic has been a bit hit or miss. Feels like he's coming into his own a bit more as of late. I've liked his defense a lot better. Had 6 blocks against the New York Knicks last night. The offensive efficiency is up and down, but it's been better as of late. I feel like as time goes on, Nurkic is finding his role in this team. It has not always been the prettiest, but I think eventually, especially when you consider the depth pieces you got in addition to him, which we'll talk about in a moment, I think the Ayton for Nurkic trade might have been a success. One guy who's really stepped up in the face of all the injuries has been Eric Gordon. He's putting up 14.3 points per game this season, starting a majority of his appearances, and he's shooting 38% from deep. He's been forced to play a big role, one that he probably wasn't expecting when he signed with this team. He was probably expecting to be kind of that bucket-getting 6-man off the bench, but so far, they've asked him to start. They said, hey, we need you to carry some offensive load. He's done exactly that. Been very impressed with them in one of his mid-30 seasons. Eric Gordon has been a really, really good pickup. Grayson Allen, who came in as part of that whole Jusuf Nurkic trade, Damian Lillard going to the Milwaukee Bucks, Grayson Allen coming over to the Suns. He's been great. He's been their 5th leading scorer with 12 points per game, shooting a blistering 47.5% from deep. Just having a guy that can consistently knock down outside shots is big, because last year we saw in the playoffs, especially against the Denver Nuggets, they were loading up on KD and Book and just letting the other guys shoot. But now that they've got guys like an Eric Gordon, like a Grayson Allen, it's a lot harder to do that. Jordan Goodwin has been great as a pesky defender who can knock down some shots, was really underrated as a pickup coming over from Washington. Love what he's brought to the table. Josh Okogie has been a bit hit or miss offensively, but he's given them some good defense. I think Eubanks has been pretty solid as a backup big. Keita Bates-Diop's been solid. Chimezie Metu got some minutes against the Knicks last night and was perfect from the field. Everybody's contributing in some way. Nas Little is finally getting some more run, and he's been really good lately. I thought he was going to get run from the beginning. Hasn't exactly been the case, but if he continues to stay in the rotation, I think that's very well earned. He's had a lot of good minutes, and it feels like really anybody on this roster has had at least one pretty good moment so far where they've stepped up in the absence of a star. They've hit a big shot. There were multiple times against the Knicks where they needed a shot. They were loading up on Devin Booker, and a role player hit a really big timely 3 to keep the Suns in this game to help them ultimately win. As a team, they've got a top 5 offense, which I think could get closer to that number 1 conversation when everybody's healthy. The 18th ranked defense, that's definitely the more concerning end of the court for them, but overall, again, they've been better as of late, and I think eventually that number will rise once they get everybody playing. The 9th best net rating in the league, 7-game win streak, 3rd in the Western Conference despite injuries. They've been extremely impressive, and this win against the Knicks might have been one of their most impressive yet. They've really locked in defensively at the end here. They out-rebounded the Knicks on the game, who are the best rebounding team in the league. That was really impressive. Just a lot of hustle and grit from this Suns team. They got some huge threes from their role players until it was time for Devin Booker to go ahead and take over, play make, knock down the big shot at the end. This was just a gutsy win over a really good Knicks team as the Suns continue to roll 7-2 on the road, finding ways to win away from Phoenix. Been blown away by what they've done so far. Love watching this Suns team. Excited to see what happens when they continue to get healthy, when they continue to build chemistry. They've got that championship contender written all over them, and at the end of the season, if they're the ones raising the Larry O'Brien, I wouldn't be surprised. As for the Knicks, this is one of the best combined games we've seen from Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. 28-2, 5-2 from Randle. Jalen Brunson, huge shots down the stretch, 35 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Also, one thing that continues to be a problem for this Knicks team is the free throws. They've just got an inability to hit them, one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the league, and Mitchell Robinson, who's really impactful, they need him on the glass and on defense, had to be taken out at the end of this game because he just could not buy a bucket at the free throw line. The Suns were perfectly fine with him going there, and if you get second chance opportunities, teams could just foul you before you put up a shot or before you kick it out if they know you can't hit the free throw. So he's got to get better at that. The team as a whole needs to, but Mitchell Robinson in particular is someone who could really benefit from a better shooting percentage at the stripe. Moving on now to a couple of other games. We had Bucks versus Blazers. Milwaukee gets another really ugly win. They find ways to do it. It's never really pretty, but a win's a win. They come back from down 26 in this one, the biggest comeback, I believe, in the NBA this season. They made a big fourth quarter comeback, being down 15 in the fourth quarter again to the Portland Trail Blazers, who are pretty bad, but Blazers held their own for a majority of the game, just couldn't buy a bucket down the stretch. Malcolm Brogdon, a lot of iso ball at the end. He was really rough. He was good for a majority of the game, but towards the end just needed to pass up some of those shots. Tried to drive on Giannis out of all people at the end to go ahead and give them the lead, or I think tie it and send it to overtime, but Giannis just blocks him, which is to be expected. Scoot had a really fun game, 13 points, 4 rebounds, and a dime on 50% shooting. 75% from 3, hit a pull-up 3 over Dame, which was a really fun passing of the torch moment. He's put together some decent games since returning from injury, and I think ultimately Scoot's going to put together a really good rookie campaign. It's just going to be a matter of time. And as for the Bucks, they just find ways to get ugly wins. Giannis puts up 33 points, 16 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. 52% shooting on one of the best stretches that we've seen from him probably in his entire career. Just dominant night after dominant night from Giannis. Dame continues to struggle with his efficiency, but he's been getting to the line, which I'll give him credit for. He's staying aggressive, he's attacking, and in those clutch moments, Dame is still one of the best to do it. He hit a big 3 in this one. He hit a big bucket. I thought he was going to hit the late game 3 to go ahead and give them the win. It felt obvious, Dame hitting a game winner against the Blazers in his first game against them, the most obvious script you can think of, but he ends up missing it. Giannis hits the big shot to go ahead and give them the lead, but Dame still puts up 31 points, 5 boards, 4 assists. He was good, and Dame always kind of starts slow, so I think eventually the efficiency will come around. Also, shout out to Bobby Portis, who had some really big plays down the stretch to help the Bucks get this win. Again, it's never been pretty with them, but a win's a win. Final game I want to go in-depth into a little bit was Cavs versus Raptors. The Cavaliers managed to win this one, holding off a late comeback from the Raptors, nearly blowing a big lead in the fourth quarter, which you don't want to see that if you're a Cleveland team that's trying to compete for a championship, but they do get the win. Garland was great in this one, 24 points, 2 boards, and 8 assists, 62.5% shooting, including a big clutch bucket late for them. Spida struggled a lot. He doesn't feel 100% coming off that recent injury, and it feels like he and Garland are still trying to find their balance in the backcourt. Donovan Mitchell has led the league in shots attempted for a majority of this season, and part of that is because of injuries, but also he's been taking shots a lot. I think they need to find a better balance between the two of those guys. Spida is probably the guy to go to late, but for a majority of the game, I think they need to find a better balance, which they did do pretty well in this game. I think eventually that will continue to build. They haven't played together very long. I think eventually it'll be fine. Max Strus has been great for them so far this season, had a big 20-point third quarter, including 4-4 from 3 to help the Cavs cut a big Toronto lead down heading into the fourth. He's been a fantastic addition. Niang's kind of come into his own for this team as well, and it feels like Cleveland is finding their footing more and more. They've dealt with a lot of injuries and a tough schedule to begin the season, but I think eventually they will be up there towards the top of those Eastern Conference standings. As for the Raptors, not a lot of standout guys in this game. I will give a shout to Jakob Poeltl though. 18 points, 13 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks. 10 of those points came in the fourth quarter. He was amazing. They needed a lot from him in those final moments. He did exactly that. It didn't end up being enough, but I've liked a lot of what I've seen from Jakob Poeltl so far this season, and if the Raptors do decide to blow it up at some point during this year, I feel like they could get a decent return for a guy like him. Everything outside those games ended up being a blowout. Like I said, not a lot of close games in the association on Sunday, but let's go ahead and talk about them regardless. Just real quick, Timberwolves dominate the Grizzlies, maintaining their spot at the top of the Western Conference. Big games from Anthony Edwards and Cat, who has really come along strong strong recently. The Timberwolves are just clicking right now. They've looked amazing. The Nets beat the Chicago Bulls. They go down 21 the first quarter and then dominate pretty much every other quarter. Got a number of 20-point games from some of their main guys. The Celtics beat the Hawks behind a Jason Tatum 34.9 rebound 4 assist game. As for the Hawks, really the big news coming out for them recently is that Jalen Johnson hurt his wrist. He's supposed to be out 4 to 6 weeks, I believe, or 6 to 8 weeks, one of those two. Just a huge blow for a Hawks team that really can't afford it right now. Jalen Johnson has been one of their consistent best players, looking like an MIP type guy, but they're going to be without him for a little bit. They need guys to step up, and I think they're going to miss him severely. Shout out to Jalen Johnson, get well soon. The Magic continue to stay on their hot streak, blowing out the Hornets behind 30 from Franz and a 23-7-8 game from Paolo, in addition to a 30.7 board, 7 assist game from Cole Anthony. He's been huge. They moved to 12-5, looking like one of the best teams in the league so far. And finally, the Denver Nuggets beat up on the San Antonio Spurs. Jokic puts up 39, 11, and 9, continuing his dominant period while welcoming Wemby to the NBA. Although Wemby himself had a monster game, he puts up 22 points, 11 boards, 2 assists, 6 steals, and 4 blocks, all in less than 25 minutes, which is just an unbelievable stat line to put up in that amount of time. With all that being said, those are my thoughts on these games. Go ahead and let me know your takeaways down below in the comments, specifically about the Phoenix Suns. How good can they be when Beal comes back? Where do you rank Kevin Durant and Devin Booker as a duo? Are they both all-NBA players? We'll love to hear your thoughts. Just love talking hoops with y'all down below in the comments. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And yeah, appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.